All right, some of us are trying to figure out exactly what these sightings are that people see all over the world, right? What is the UFO phenomena or the UAP phenomena or just the phenomena, the paranormal phenomena, whatever we are calling it, whatever name we are giving it, right? And I think a lot of us, even if you've had an experience, to be honest with you, are still trying to figure out what is this? Who are they, right? Because even people like scientist Hal Puthoff, who is dead center around a lot of this conversation, even he is not entirely sure what is going on. And he has different theories of what it could be. And in this video, I've got a clip of Hal Puthoff discussing some of these theories, and I loved it. So let's take a look.
Well, since it hasn't been pinned down exactly what is the source of these sightings and so on, as a scientist, I said, okay, we need to have a clean table. We need to have every hypothesis possible on the table, and then run each of them down with whatever scientific approaches we can use. So I made up a list of, like, what could it be? Well, it might be extraterrestrial, or maybe it's interdimensional because our modern physics has additional hypotheses about other realms on other dimensional realms that something could be emerging from. Uh, Maybe it's, for example, maybe leftover Atlanteans from 10,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. Maybe some advanced society survived and have been running a parallel with us, but hidden away in a mountain or seabeds or whatever. And in fact, it's interesting to me that claimed interactions with such intelligences, they're always complaining about we have to clean up the environment, we should stop nuclear bomb experiments and so on. Well, maybe they're hidden out, they're glad to do their thing, we do our thing, but we've gotten to the point we're beginning to affect the planet, which is their planet too, if that happened to be where they were. And so it'd be very reasonable that if they came forward in any way, they would make statements like clean up the environment, no nuclear tests, and hide out by letting people be sure to think that they were extraterrestrial when maybe they're not. So anyway, all those options put out on the table, and then I think what we should do is attack each option and put up all the pluses and minuses and not let anything stand in our way, and finally weed through the options and possibilities. Or it may be that many of them are true. So I think that's the basis that I think we should approach.
Or none of them are true. I don't know. I mean, clearly we're not alone in the universe. So the extraterrestrial hypothesis to me is, I believe to be true. Just, have they come here, right? But what's interesting most about this conversation, right, and this answer that he gives is more that he focuses on this hypothesis that maybe there's this, species, potentially advanced species that's been on planet Earth kind of hidden, right? And that's called the cryptoterrestrial theory. There's one other person in that Reddit AMA, where Hal is speaking right at the top. Her name is Kelly Chase, and she is the one that kind of hosted this entire Reddit AMA, which I really appreciated. And in fact, I got to interview Kelly Chase along with J. Christopher King. You see, they have a new series called Comosis out where they explore these topics. And that interview is going to be coming out this week. So make sure and subscribe to the channel to, learn when that comes out. Now, I've got a special clip for you of Kelly herself talking about the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis and how it's probably her favorite theory of all of this.
I am team crypto-terrestrial all day long. Like, if I could choose what it is, and
Yeah.
to be honest, I don't think this totally fits the evidence, but to me, like a completely flesh and blood, tangible, like breakaway civilization of some kind, but preferably like not non-human or not totally human, something that goes way, way back, just something ancient, something maybe that's living at the bottom of the ocean. People who know me, like, you're really my friend when we've sat up till all hours of the night while I go into a very long rant about mer people, because I can talk about mer people for a very, very long time. So like that's the stuff that gets me really. You don't hear me talking about that on podcast because I know it's out there, but it's in terms of just like pet theories and stuff that gets me excited. It's like mer people and Hollow Earth. That's like all I want in life.
I have to admit, I'm not too familiar with the mer people, but Kelly's enthusiasm was absolutely contagious in this interview I did, as well as J. Christopher King. I must admit that my interview with him was honestly such a constructive, what am I saying here? Constructive, respectful, just cool, open conversation, to be honest with you, because they go past asking the question, are we alone? They kind of jump past that. To them, being both experiencers, which they kind of go into a little bit in our interview, to be honest with you, they asked the bigger questions, right, for themselves, right, in their new series. And then we talk about a lot of that in our interview. And I found it absolutely wonderful, right, because they're just going past that and asking, not are we alone and if we've been visited, but let's assume that's true. Who are they? Right? And I really enjoyed that, honestly, and they were just such cool people, and it was an honor to have them on the show, and I can't wait for you guys to see that full interview. So look forward to that. Make sure to subscribe so you know when that comes out later this week. Now, I've got one special little clip for you to end on here from Hal Puthoff, back from that Reddit AMA, because what he says about the physics of, the phenomena, right, is quite interesting. Take a look.
So that if somebody supposedly has been taken aboard a craft and they're in there for a while and they come out and they find time has gone by much faster outside, or at a different clip, and they think, well, maybe I've got missing time or whatever. Anyway, you go down this list of weird things, but they do match up with general relativity. Okay, so if we physicists know how it's working on the principle of general relativity, then, why aren't we building them? Why aren't they aircraft? Well, it turns out that the one requirement that is a real challenge is you have to have enormous amounts of energy collected in very tiny volumes, extreme energy densities, and we can't do that. That's where we fall short. So I would say the physics is straightforward. It is within the physics that we know, but it's way beyond what we can do with our engineering.
And that's an interesting part there at the end, because he says it's well within our physics. It's just the engineering that is kind of holding us up, right? So it's, because you always hear the term, way beyond our physics, right? This craft performed, outside of physics we don't know, and this and that. And Hal Puthoff, honestly, he said this before in another interview, and I never heard it before, and it's just kind of interesting, right? This idea that, well, it is within our physics, it's just we don't have the engineering capabilities to sort of harness that physics, right? And I love that, right? In the sense that it's real, but we can't figure out how to control it, right? And maybe there's some truth to that. I mean, he's a much smarter guy than me, clearly. So I just found that interesting, and I found that in him talking about, right, the different theories of what this phenomena could be, to also be, very interesting. And especially when he said, I have this list, I made this list. Boy, I would love to get a hold of that list that Hal Puthoff made. And again, he really focuses a lot on the cryptoterrestrial theory. Now, maybe just in that particular clip, I'm not saying that's the one he believes to be the most, probable or his leading theory, but I found it interesting that he talked about that one the most. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe. One last thing before you go. I do want to say that we have some limited merch available for January only. It's right here. You can see it. It's a shirt. It says, "Do not feed the drones." There's actually a nice little Easter egg on that shirt if you get it, and you might notice it. But they're available now. Only available for January, like I said. So there's a link down below in the description. Click that. Get a shirt. Just thought it was very cool. So shout out to Daniel Clancy for putting that together for me. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.